Descent of the Demon God by Hanjo Wiolia. Chapter 190. Arisha's Armor. Part 1. In a high mountain peak northeast of Jinan City. A being in a cloak hood with arms crossed looking at the dark sky, he was the fourth guest of MS group. Beside him was a blond European-dressed man with a unique form. The blond man carefully spoke to the hooded one. "Sire. Did you get the signal? Marquee call?" "No." "Then what is it?" "Sire. I am sorry to ask. Do we really need to wait for all the nobles to arrive on this planet? He is strong, but I think that the nobles here can handle him well." The blond one called Marquee Call asked. At the bottom of the mountain were 12 men and women with exotic forms waiting. All of them belonged to upper count levels. How about having the other nobles search for the other 3 of Arisha's armor and find the traitor? In addition to them, there were 30 nobles down here. And all of them were searching for the armor. The only weapon they knew for sure was in the video of MS Group. In the opinion of Marquee Call, the hooded one shook his head. The sword is the best treasure of Arisha's armor. It can be dangerous if the owner of it learns its true powers. It's better for us to move. All right. Unable to disobey the orders, he backed off. Marquee Call again picked up some unique shaped terminal and gave out a signal. But then a sudden beep came from it. Whoa! 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 A circle of wavy marks appeared on the screen along with a terminal. It was more like a passage. "Sire." Marquee Call seemed startled as he called. Before the content was even relayed, the hooded one calmly opened his mouth to speak. "The gate is open." "What is the state?" "Dedupe title." In addition, more of the many higher ranks seemed to be moving. At those words, the hooded one's eyes turned sharp. "That side has moved too." "Seems like it. It must be because you have been here for a long time. We can't help it." "Then? Hurry up. Retrieve the sword and helmet right away." "Yes, Your Grace." "In the Vice-Chairman's office in Yongchun Group." "Then the picture on this belongs to the Demon King?" Shakina nodded her head at the question. "As far as I know. In the past, I have seen the Demon King roaming the fields wearing Arisha's armor during the Third War, based on the recordings. As a demon above count level, she didn't have the right to meet the king, so she only looked at him through videos. At that time, he definitely had this armor on it. Although it was just a video record, the Demon King looked amazing to her eyes. The Demon King wearing Arisha's armor was truly a strong person. No one could stand in his way. What does Arisha mean? He had been wondering about the word since the first time he came across it. He wondered if it was the name of the one who made it. Shakina answered. I know that the armor that only a Demon King can wear is Arisha's." "So, the meaning?" Arisha is a great being worshipped by our clan. In human language, right. It can be God. God? In the demon's language, Arisha meant absolute strength or God. Chen Yuan didn't even think that beings of other planets would even worship someone else. This was because he was too harshly brought up as a member of the Sky Demon Order. "Then you will know this too." Chen Yuan touched the armor on the picture with his finger. And when he touched it, the helmet moved like animation and disassembled and changed into a wheel. Shakina was confused and surprised. "This was that?" "I don't know well. But I have seen the Demon King handling various weapons on the battlefield, but this is the first time to see it change." "First time?" "Yes." Surprisingly, even Shakina didn't seem to be aware of it. All she knew was that this armor was a treasure of the Demon King. This time she asked, Master, you said the traitor had it, yes. She hesitated to continue, so Chen Yuan asked. What is it? Pondering a lot, she couldn't decide. Can I talk about this? The information she knew was a clan matter. Everyone was away, but this was the hottest issue in their clan. Answer me. After all, Master is a human, so it doesn't matter if he knows. At Chen Yuan's urging, she spoke. Actually, before I set my foot here, there was a rumor going on in the clan. Rumor? Yes. A rumor that someone was behind him. Someone helped Hagar escape and sent him here. Helped him escape? Actually, Hagar was considered a traitor for preying on his own kin, but a low-ranking noble would never suddenly turn strong enough to be able to escape. A gate that allowed one to cross into another planet, it was an important place that only the marquis-level nobles would protect and guard, but such a thing had fallen into the hands of a traitor way too low in title? Many questioned it. Chen Yuan, taking the scroll, said. The most suspicious person is the Grand Duke then, the one whose emblem is here. Listening to this, he could make a rough guess. Right. Who? Master is smart. As you said, Grand Duke Kaliaf is one of the 3 Grand Dukes and is the one under suspicion. Why? She hesitated at the question. She thought talking to Chen Yuan was fine, but it was a sensitive issue in the clan. Grand Duke Kaliaf is aiming to be the next Demon King. Next Demon King? This confused him. Shekinah was here to catch the traitor on the order of the Demon King, so what is this plot twist? Will the Demon King retire? No, it is a bit more ambiguous. How? The Demon King hasn't appeared in public for a long time. How long? Before I was even born. Shekinah was 820 years old. I heard it has been 2,000 years. 2,000? Even Chen Yuan was shocked. He knew the average lifespan of demons was long, but this was huge. So they are long-lived ones. According to Shekinah, no one had seen the Demon King since the Third War that occurred 2,000 years back. Then who gave you the order? There are the 4 dukes who assist the Demon King. One of them, Sir Ludwig, ordered me. Huh? And only they see the Demon King? Yes. They are the only ones who can see him. Other than them, no one had seen the Demon King for years, so they are called unturnable doorknobs. Doorknobs? A title that wouldn't stick if the Demon King had come out. The head of the clan hasn't appeared in public, so suspicions rose. She didn't answer Chen Yuan's words, it meant agreeing with him. The authority of the Demon King was absolute for the clan, but now they were all wondering if their king was alive or dead. I have a rough idea as to what it is. Huh? Normally, the title of authority would be Grand Duke from the Demon King. However, it is said that 4 dukes are close to the Demon King and don't let others see him, which makes it natural for a riot to occur. Whoa. Master. You are so smart. Chen Yuan shook his head at her words. Anyone could guess this much. Right. As Master said, dissatisfaction rose among the Grand Dukes. It had been 2,000 years. Even if they were demons, their head had been missing, so it was natural for the Grand Duke to be discontent with it and aim to be the next one on the throne. Then the 4 dukes came and announced the condition for the Demon King. What is this now? They said that those who Arisha chose are the only ones to challenge the next title of Demon King. Chosen by Arisha. It was as if a member had to be chosen by the god their clan worshipped. What qualification is that? At Chen Yuan's question, she pointed to the armor. Arisha's armor. It was said that those who find the armor will be given a chance to challenge the Demon King. Authority fell due to the absence of their king, and the only thing to control the warlike demons and Grand Dukes was the existence of Arisha. And once the announcement fell, the Grand Dukes rushed to find the armor. Ha! Chen Yuan sighed and said, now I see it clearly. Huh? If Arisha's armor isn't found in the end, no one will be eligible to challenge, right? Right. Those dukes close to the king were one smart bunch. Ah. At Chen Yuan's words, Shekinah understands what happened. If no one can find Arisha's armor, the dukes closest to the king will continue to maintain the power and control the clan. Right. What is right? Even after the announcement, no one had been able to find the armor for decades. Because of that, rumors went around that maybe Arisha's armor might not even be on our planet. So? The problem was that one couldn't enter another planet on their wishes, without a specific reason. It was forbidden to use the gate. The approval had to come from the Demon King. I think I can see why the rumors went that Grand Duke Kaliaf supported the traitors. There was a reason. Right. For our clan, preying on a clan member means the culprit should be executed. Killing their own clan members would never be forgiven by them. The traitor who did it managed to cross the gate and hide in another planet. Then, there was a great reason for the demons using the gate to another planet to catch that traitor. For some reason, it felt really strange that only one person was sent each time. The duke closest to them placed a limit on the pursuers, saying that the clan's power in their planet shouldn't be wasted to catch a low-level demon despite the contact. With the sent demons always getting cut off. It was to make sure that they don't find the armor. Grunt. In the end, it was a battle between Grand Duke Kaliaf and the Demon King's men. Shekinah gritted her teeth in anger. Due to these chases, countless demons were sacrificed. There is a power struggle everywhere. Chen Yuan clicked his tongue. And their power struggle had spread to Earth. If Shekinah is right, then Arisha's armor must have been with the Duke's closest aides. It was likely. Even when looking at what Chen Yuan saw in the memories, the weapons suddenly fell from the sky, too randomly. Huh? However, Chen Yuan thought it was strange. Something didn't feel right. If they hit Arisha's armor, it had to be at the time the decree was announced or before it was announced, but the armor fell on Earth long before such an announcement had come. Strange. When Chen Yuan was puzzled at the thought, a small light shone from the cylinder that contained the scroll. What is that? Seeing that, Shekinah looked inside the cylinder. She said with a puzzled face. Master, this is a tracker. Tracker? Even if he had nano, Chen Yuan couldn't know what was in it since this was an item of the demons. However, the question was, why didn't it react till now? I'll remove it right away. She put her hand into it and tried to remove it. It was then. Shh. Suddenly, the space shook in the room, and numerous people appeared. Shaken was taken aback and quickly moved at the sudden appearance. In an instant, 50 beings appeared in the vice-chairman's room, all demons. This? Shekinah couldn't hide her shock as she looked at one of them. Duke. The white-haired man with the most splendid armor among the demons was the highest-ranking being with only 10 demons obtaining the title. It was the Duke. Chapter 191. Arisha's Armor. Part 2. Other than Chen Yuan, Shekinah wasn't scared of anyone else in the room. She was outstandingly warlike, yet she trembled in the Duke's presence. She then noticed two beautiful white-haired men and women standing on either side of Duke. Marquis Irene and Marquis Isaac. Just looking at those two, she could figure out who this Duke was, Duke Bevman, known as the White Storm, who was Grand Duke Kaliaf's right-hand man. Shit. She couldn't even understand this. 2 of the Duke's men were Marquis, and 20 of the 50 people were of counts. It was no exaggeration to say that an enormous amount of monsters had gathered here. Master? She looked at Chen Yuan, who was still seated in the chair with his legs crossed, and looked at the demons, acting very relaxed. At that moment, the white-haired woman next to the Duke, Marquis Irene, opened her mouth. "Papa, I think this is the right place." In her hand was a unique-shaped terminal. When a beep sounded from the terminal, she suddenly looked at the cylinder on the table. There it is. In response, Marquis Isaac, who was to the Duke's left, said, "I knew it, Hagar did steal it." With that, he looked at Shekinah. "Is this your doing, Heart Hunter?" As a woman known to be the strongest of the counts, she was recognized at once. Marquis. Chen Yuan smiled at her timid character. It seemed like titles mattered profusely to demons. Seeing Shekinah act so carefully was pleasant. On the other hand, Marquis Isaac looked at Chen Yuan and raised his eyebrows. A demon then came out from the crowd. Smiling? A trivial human is smiling at us? Having said that, the demon clenched his fist and approached Chen Yuan to showcase the difference in power. Marquis Irene suddenly spoke, "Stop right there." Huh? At those words, the demon paused and someone broke through the floor and appeared. Bang! Who dares to enter my lord's place without permission? It was Hubong, who had a flaming sword in his hand. If he had walked another step closer, the demon would have been attacked. Tack! 2 more people climbed up from the hole in the floor, Mun Ranyong and Becky. I knew it. In the elevator they felt the numerous presences. Originally, demons couldn't be felt, but since Becky had a suit made by the MS group, even the smallest changes in energy could be detected. Pack. The 2 came up and stood beside Chen Yuan, but that wasn't the end. Bang! Lord Chen Ma. Even by Mak Hien pushed into the door along with the other 2 secretaries, and even his disciple, Ark Young, came in. Rats have come. The Golden Gumiho, who sensed something, told them and, thanks to her, they all entered the room right away. In an instant, the situation became a huge confrontation. For the demons, however, humans were seen as bugs or livestock. The demon who had tried to hit Chen Yuan shook his head and stepped forward again. Whose safety are these bug-like humans? Slash. Quack. Hubong's sword met his throat before he could finish speaking. The bewildered demon had tried to avoid it, but Hubong's sword split into 5 and stabbed him in the neck, shoulder, and thighs simultaneously. Tack. Since his upper body turned, the hit was avoided, but both thighs were stabbed with the sword, causing him to fall back. Yuk. The other demons looked at him without moving. They all knew that this human was strong. One of the demons at the count level came out laughing. Seriously. This is why you aren't able to rank up. The demon who was hit by Hubong had the Viscount title. Then, a white light flashed from the Marquis Irene's left eye as she said, "Zaken, this isn't your opponent either." Huh? What is that supposed to mean, Marquis? Your fighting power is 58,000. The red-haired man is at 98,000. Hearing her words, Marquis Isaac was shocked. Is that true? Are you doubting my ability? Irene's power was ability numericalization, the ability to analyze opponents and read their combat power. It was extremely accurate because it analyzed the body's internal body. Pretty good for a human. She was curious about Hubong, who had a higher power level than most of the demons. As soon as saw him, she looked at the powers of the others as well. The first thing that caught her eye was Shekinah's. 105,000? Heart Hunter, are you stronger than before? The last time she saw Shekinah, her power level was 60,000, which alone was considered the highest number at the count level. Then, she looked at Mun Ranyong. 190,000? What? At her words, Marquis Isaac's eyes lit up. Since they were siblings, Isaac knew his sister's ability well. A human with 190,000 fighting power? The highest ranked count had a fighting power of 100,000. Taking that into account, this human exceeded the top count. At this level, she could be a lower marquee too. But what was surprising was the next person. 320,000? Confirming Becky's power, she couldn't announce it. This was insane even at the marquee level. Her brother also had a fighting power of 320,000 and was in the upper middle ranking. Numbers were just numbers, and things could change in combat, but this man was on par with Isaac. However, she didn't say it because it would hurt her brother's pride. Enough. Duke Bevman stopped her with a heavy voice. Ah, Papa. Her left eyes turned to analyze Duke Bevman's power. 2.89 million. Overwhelming strength. Immensely different from those at the marquee level. No matter how strong humans were, they would never be able to defeat this man. In front of Father, humans are just trash. The cruel reality was that the Duke could crush all of them alone. We didn't come to do that. With that, he looked at Chen Yuan. Human. You seem to be the head of this place. Give me the explanation for why the item that should be with Hagar is with. As he talked, Duke Bevman looked up. Then, quack quack quang. The building shook with a loud roar. Eventually, the ceiling was pierced and someone broke into the room. With her left eye, Irene couldn't see the people, but saw numbers signifying their power. 2,830,000. 286,000. Her face hardened. The moment she saw the numbers, she knew exactly who these intruders were. Papa. I know. Fat. Hearing her cry, Duke Bevman moved. He rushed to greet the newcomers, who had incredible fighting power and intruded as fast as lightning. He just swung his fist and caused the wind to push forward. Cha-cha-cha. The 40 windows in the vice-chairman's office shattered. The demons and even Chen Yuan's subordinates were pushed back from the wind pressure. PRRR. Duke Bevman's fist was blocked by the intruder. Flutter. The wind revealed the face of the intruder who blocked Duke Bevman's fist. Shakina saw the black-haired, tall, and exotic-looking man with his hood removed and yelled. Duke Ludwig. Duke Ludwig. He was one of the 4 dukes who was under the Demon King. Next to him was a blond man in blue European clothing, Marquis Call. Their appearance made the demons become alert. Since a strong man on the same level as Duke Bevman appeared, they were no longer hostile. So you were here, Duke Ludwig. Duke Ludwig didn't respond to the words and looked at Chen Yuan, who was still sitting in his seat, and said, Human, do you have Arisha's armor with you? Duke Ludwig was only interested in whether or not the weapons had gone into the demon's hands. The Grand Duke's men had shown up sooner than expected, so he was becoming impatient. Arisha's armor? All of the demons were now interested in the confrontation because their purpose was Arisha's armor too. I see. So you have them, human. Duke Bevman looked at Chen Yuan. His white eyes grew even colder. Duke Bevman lifted his fist and tried to hit him. But, no. Grab. Duke Ludwig exerted a strong force to restrain Duke Bevman from moving before shouting his children and men. Catch him. Yes, your grace. Fat. Marquis Irene, who received the order, moved. As a demon with the Marquis title, she had amazing speed. Unless, of course, someone interfered. Pack. Someone predicted Marquis Irene's path in advance and blocked it. It was none other than Marquis Call, Duke Ludwig's right-hand man. Marquis Irene chuckled at his interference. I knew you would try to stop me. When she reached out her hand, spider web-like substance was spewed out from her 10 fingers. Since he was too close, Marquis Call was swept up in the web. Shit. Pang. When Marquis Call was forced to use his ability, Marquis Irene bounced back. He's much stronger than me. Her own fighting power was 280,000. In terms of numbers, it was small, especially against Marquis Call, who was the best. But that didn't matter, because he wasn't her target. Swoosh! You! Marquis Call noticed Isaac pass by him and tried to move, but Isaac was already in front of the sofa. Come here. Papak. Quack. Someone kicked Isaac in the face. He was then hit in the shoulder, then the face, and then a couple more places. He staggered back from the successive kicks. The one who kicked him was Becky. He is able to handle invisible kicks? Becky was shocked by Marquis Isaac's resistance, as he was only lightly pushed. Becky, who was in his best condition, used his invisible kicks, but instead of being torn apart, his opponent was intact. How dare you, human! Full of anger from being hit in the face, Isaac turned to Becky. As a result, the demons under Duke Bevman began to move. Attack! Only that one needs to be caught. They, too, were aware that Chen Yuan was the one they had to catch. Who would dare to aim for my lord? As the demons moved, Hu Bong and the others stepped ahead of Chen Yuan. This was the moment when the vice-chairman's office turned into a war zone. Chen Yuan, seeing everything unfold, slowly got up. Human, run out! Duke Ludwig, who thought that Chen Yuan wouldn't win, shouted. Outside the office were demons who were under his control, and he figured that if the human left, his demons would be able to handle the situation and recover Arisha's armor/weapons. However, Chen Yuan didn't care about the pandemonium. This is so funny. You all come into my realm and act however you want. Hearing Chen Yuan's words, the demons wondered what he was saying. Chen Yuan declared, Kneel. Before I finish counting down from 3. One of the count demons who thought his declaration was absurd, shouted, What nonsense are you spewing? Ha! Grab! Quack! The count who was shouting suddenly grabbed his core as the other demons didn't understand what was happening. What's happening with you? Ack! My core. The core was the main weakness. If the core was damaged, the demon would die. Chen Yuan clenched the air in front of him. Quiet. Swish. Black smoke rose from the count's mouth as he crumbled into ashes. The others couldn't hide their shock. Chen Yuan said. 3. The countdown started. The two dukes who were fighting thought this was absurd. The humans, who were supposed to be insects compared to the demons, suddenly intervened and were able to control the flow of the war. Duke Ludwig shouted. Human, we don't have time for this. I can't figure out what you're thinking, but right now. Whoa. Chen Yuan's body emitted a black haze, sky demon energy. As he gradually raised his energy, more sky demon energy was being released. Even Duke Ludwig couldn't speak as the ferocious energy flowed out, which only made the demons more scared. 2. Chen Yuan kept counting. Hearing the next number, Isaac, whose pride was hurt, screamed as he ran. How dare you, human trash! Huh? Shoo! Beaky, who confronted him, tried to stop Marquis Isaac from going any farther, but Marquis Isaac's body disappeared. Marquis Isaac, who had the ability to move through space, was the one who brought the demons into this office. Isaac disappeared and appeared behind Chen Yuan. Shoo! This is the price for not fearing us, Anne. Swish! Isaac's hand sliced through the air, which was suddenly empty. Chen Yuan, who had been in front of him moments before, disappeared in an instant as someone grabbed Marquis Isaac's head from behind. Grab! Quack! He tried to turn his head and see who was holding him, but he couldn't even move. He tried to move through space again, but... Whoa! Huh? His body, which should have moved, didn't budge, as if it were fixed to this one point in space. This meant that the person holding his head was also controlling the fabric of space and had interfered with his movement. How? You seem to want to die quickly. The voice was Chen Yuan's. Bewildered, Marquis Isaac tried to counterattack as best as he could. At that moment, crush! His head was blown off by a tremendous force, and he didn't even have a chance to scream. The demons were at a loss of words when they saw a Marquis-level demon taken down so easily. No way! And Marquis Isaac? Along with his sister, Isaac was known to be strong enough to be the next duke. His death was enough to ruin the demon's pride. Chen Yuan looked at them once more and said, "The last chance. The last number, 1. And he finished counting. Cuckoo cuckoo. As soon he finished, there was tremendous pressure which distorted the space and crushed down the demons in the office. The pressure was so strong that all the demons were forced to kneel at the same time. Yuk! Gasp! Thud! 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 They were all kneeling against their will. Their strength was too weak to withstand the force Chen Yuan was exerting, and the only demons left standing were Shekinah and the 2 dukes. How can a human have this much power? The dukes thought the same idea. Marquis Irene, who was also forced to kneel, opened her mouth with a shocked face. Papa. Duke Bevman looked at her with a puzzled face as she spoke in a terrified voice. That man's power is close to 10 million. Chapter 192. Arisha's Armor. Part 3. Marquis Irene's left eye could see one's power level. Right now, she is looking at Chen Yuan's power. 9,650,000. His power level was so high, it was almost 10 million. And no way could this happen. The first person she looked at using her ability was Chen Yuan. At that time, the number was strangely low. It was 10, which was usually the case for ordinary humans. He hid his power. The first thing that surprised her was this. Her abilities were entirely accurate. Even if one tried to hide it, her ability would still figure it out. However, that didn't happen this time. Just what power is? The second surprise was his overwhelming power that completely surpasses humans, a figure that slightly exceeded the 10 dukes of the clan. Irene, did you really see it correctly? Duke Bevman asked in a voice of disbelief. He really thought that she was wrong. However, Marquis Irene couldn't say anything more. At this number, it might be comparable to the Grand Duke. She once had an audience with Grand Duke Kaliaf, a demon higher than her father. Unable to contain her curiosity, she used her ability. He almost caught her, but she saw it go over 9.99 million in a brief moment. When the number exceeds 1 million, it usually increases slowly one after another, like a timer. Papak. Duke Bevman unexpectedly and violently pushed Duke Ludwig away. Duke Ludwig, who was in a daze by Chen Yuan's power, couldn't stop him. Duke Bevman, who pushed him away, moved towards Chen Yuan. Fat. I don't know what you did, but there's no way a human being can have such power. Duke Bevman could never admit it. Humans had been nothing but bugs and insects to their clan since ancient times. Now, such a bug was more powerful than him? Weak. A sharp wind blew from Duke Bevman. Although the place was small, he was aiming for a close range, and he made sure that his power wouldn't touch his demons, and only Chen Yuan's subordinates were affected by it. Quack quack quang. It ripped apart the ceiling and floor. The moment came that he was about to hit Chen Yuan. Ya! A sharp cry was heard. Something huge and golden obscured his vision. Weak. Duke Bevman tried to strike the golden light, but it instantly neutralized his power. The golden light stopped everything and prevented any aftermath from the room. Papak. Then the golden light that neutralized the attack wrapped around him so fast that he couldn't even respond. Quack. What is this? It wrapped around Duke Bevman like a rope. He thought it felt weird. Hair? What wrapped around him was golden hair. The already surprised Duke Bevman then heard a woman's voice. Now you're trying to touch my Chun-Ma? He looked where the voice came from. It was from a naked woman with golden hair. Her arms were folded, and she looked at him arrogantly. She was the golden Gumiho. This woman? The weird energy which humans couldn't possess. The golden Gumiho looked at him with narrowed eyes and warned. If you don't yield to Chun-Ma, I will eat you. Grunt. Duke Bevman's face distorted. He had power over demons. And this one wants him to bow? He yelled furiously. Eat? How dare you try to spout such things to a duke who is higher than your race? Goo. The duke's power increased. Something resembling human blood was coming up to his face disgustingly. Seeing that, even the faces of the demons who were kneeling tensed. They spoke the wrong words. You made him awaken. Idiots. It can be said that they were already more robust than humans. But awakening helps them be twice powerful. Tutu. Two long horns sprouted from the forehead of the duke. The reason people call them demons was because of this awakening. Duke Bevman, whose skin was turning white, spoke coldly. Woman. You made a huge mistake. The awakened duke's power is too strong. A lower race like you can never. Crack. Quiet. Before he could even finish speaking, the golden hair wrapping around the body of Duke Bevman tightened. Her power was so strong that only a scream came out of the duke's mouth. How is this possible? Duke Bevman couldn't understand it. He tried to rip off the tail, but the more he tried, the tighter it got. Quack. His face contorted in pain. Marquis Irene, who couldn't look at him suffering like that, was in disbelief. How is this? Even if it was like that. The number that her left eye sees contains the fighting power of the golden Gumiho. 6,830,000. How? She was at a loss for words as the power exceeded the duke's. She didn't know that this wasn't the full power of the golden fox. How would she react when the fox turns into her original form, which is more powerful than her current form? Shoo! Black smoke flowed out from the mouth of Duke Bevman. It seemed like just a bit more push, and he would die. Papa. Irene helplessly called for him. She visited Earth several times, but never once had she seen such monsters. The fox who lived from ancient times, and Chen Yuan, who had exceeded the level of humans. They were all unimaginable beings on Earth. That is enough. Chen Yuan stopped the golden Gumiho that was going to kill the duke. Why? It isn't done yet. He is so cheeky. I need to kill him. There are things I need to hear from him. At those words, the Gumiho smacked her lips. This one sure is lucky. Let's meet later. Shoo. Thud. Quack. She pulled back her tail, and the duke fell like a doll. After his awakening ended, he was back to his normal state, and he seemed too shocked at what happened as he lost his will. His awakening was useless. And now you. Chen Yuan looked at Duke Ludwig. This duke was also standing, except for Shakina, who wasn't forced to kneel. Shakina looked at them with a puzzled expression. What now? One side was someone who assisted the demon king, and the other side was the master she swore allegiance to. It was hard to choose. Mast, stay silent. At Chen Yuan's words, she realized that she should never involve herself until this matter was resolved. Duke Ludwig, who was being vigilant, spoke. This is extraordinary. I never thought there could be a strong man among humans other than him. Him? Chen Yuan's eyes shone. Then this demon meant that there was someone like him around? Duke Ludwig continued. Human potential isn't less to the clan, a being who doesn't live for more than 100 years to be so strong. He genuinely admired Chen Yuan, and he even praised the golden gumiho. It was because the golden gumiho even made the proud Duke Bevman aghast. Stop saying such things. With that, he lifted his sleeve. Cha-cha-cha. The black wrist guard on his wrist disassembled and changed into the shape of a sword. It was the Sky Demon sword. Duke Ludwig's eyes twinkled after seeing the transformation. Arisha's sword. The reason he showed interest was simple. It was because this was the best sword among the 7 weapons of Arisha. Do you know this sword? Yes. Then tell me everything you know so I can spare you. At those words, Duke Ludwig's eyes sharpened. He was one of the 4 powerful demons. Duke Ludwig's pride was greater than Duke Bevman's. However, he didn't lose his cool because of everything he had witnessed. Human. It is a treasure of our clan. I know that much. Then you must know that it isn't something which should be here, right? I don't think so. What? It is something which came into my possession, and this sword isn't Arisha's sword that you say. This is the Sky Demon sword, a sacred item of our cult. At that, Duke Ludwig thought it was absurd. You are too much. Should I show it to you? The atmosphere was so intense that a battle could happen at any time. Everyone who witnessed it gulped and stayed silent while watching, not wanting to be involved. Duke Ludwig looked at the gumiho and then at Chen Yuan. He was analyzing the situation. The fact that he was analyzing despite seeing what happened meant that there was something else he could use. Then he spoke. Human, I will make an offer. Offer? If you give me that treasure, I will grant you what you want, for example, dealing with the things which currently control the sky on Earth or goods worth 10 million gold. Or prolong life? Whatever it is, I will listen. Duke Ludwig tried to make a deal. Even if there was a chance to fight, he didn't want to get into it. To which Chen Yuan said with a smile. Is that so? Then, will you all swear allegiance to me? If you say yes, then I will think about it. What? This time, Duke Ludwig's expression hardened. He tried to take a peaceful way out, but this human kept pulling his leg. In a low tone, he asked. Are you looking for a bloodbath? Things without blood shouldn't say such things. Grunt. The more the talks went, the angrier he turned. He really did want to avoid getting into a fight, but it seemed like this human was asking for it. You are overconfident about your strength. It isn't overconfidence, it is reality. Sigh. Duke Ludwig sighed and took a deep breath, not to lose his composure. He spoke as he clenched his fists. I admit that you are strong. However, there is a saying in the world that there is a sky above the sky. Do you know why I, a duke, am assisting the Demon King? Should I even know it? I'll tell you. When demons of marquee level or higher will awaken, that awakening will double the power. So? Awakening isn't the end. With that, Duke Ludwig spread out his palm and covered his face. At that moment, a tremendous wind pressure arose. Crack. So strong that even cracks formed in the building. You crossed a line you shouldn't have. Us 4 dukes obtained the power to advance to a second awakening from the Demon King. That power. He lifted the hand which covered his face. And his face changed into a different one. This was different from the human form, it is also different from the awakened body of a demon. The nose, hair, eyebrows, everything to define a human face had disappeared except for the red eyes and the mouth. Duke Ludwig, who had a bizarre change, raised his mouth into a smile and said, We are of Grand Duke level. Whoa! The entire building shook as if an earthquake was happening right below it. Ah! Marquis Irene couldn't take off her trembling eyes. She was at a loss of words at Duke Ludwig's power. 12 million. The rise in power was exponential. She thought he would be so powerful since he assisted the Demon King, but not this much. Is this why no one recklessly touched the Grand Dukes? Now they realized why no one went against them. Phew. Duke Ludwig stared at Chen Yuan. He couldn't hold it any longer since he was angry. Although he spoke with pure confidence, he wasn't confident enough to control this power because it wasn't a natural strength of a Grand Duke. This was just a temporary boost. Need to finish this in 10 minutes. That was it. With this power, he wasn't scared of failing. Human. You will have to do your best. Even I cannot control this power. Creepy. In an instant, he weirdly felt chills in his body. Slash. Suddenly, something passed through his neck. It was a very sharp sense, and so quick that no one recognized it. A black line appeared on Duke Ludwig's neck. This. What? Bewildered, he tried to hold his shaky neck with both hands. He couldn't even understand what had happened to him. Chen Yuan said. I did my best just as you asked. Then there was the scream which seemed to tear everything apart. Kayakak. Marquis Irene, who was witnessing this scene, screamed as her left eye suddenly burst. Chapter 193. Arisha's Armor. Part 4. Humans bleed when they are injured. However, when demons are wounded, black smoke comes out from the loss of their demonic energy. Black smoke was quickly coming out from Marquis Irene's left eye. The reason why her eye suddenly burst was quite simple, because she was using her left eye to analyze others' power levels. It must have been overloaded. And no way. The pain was only for a brief moment, but she felt lost when Chen Yuan swung his sword. In that brief moment, the number her eye displayed had risen extraordinarily, and it was impossible to even see where the number ended. Is this the potential of humans? The demons knew that some humans were strong. However, a human this strong completely surpassed their beliefs. This one is a monster. She recognized that they had touched something they shouldn't have, and the other demons realized this as well. Even if they didn't have Irene's ability, they could tell that Chen Yuan was a monster. Our strongest demon was defeated in just one slash? What had just happened? For the demons, awakening, or advanced awakening, was like an unreachable dream. It was a symbol of power that only the strong ones had the privilege of undergoing, and it was seen as a broken power. The demons' gazes didn't move from Duke Ludwig. He was still holding his neck with both hands. For a high-ranking demon, especially one at his level, if the core wasn't damaged, there was a good chance that stabilizing the neck would help enable and boost recovery. But I can't regenerate. Duke Ludwig wasn't recovering. Not only did a sharp sensation pass through him, but a ferocious energy also seemed to interfere with his natural regeneration process. This energy was none other than the Sky Demon energy. Duke Ludwig, gripped by his fear of death, shouted. Quack, you, what the hell did you do? Chen Yuan responded with a smile, don't act stupid. You're already dead. Chen Yuan seemed to know that Duke Ludwig's body was failing to regenerate and approached the flustered demon. I almost forgot. What? Quack. Quack. Chen Yuan stuck his sword right through the center of Duke Ludwig's chest. A blue light shone from the Sky Demon sword as an eerily gloomy energy was released. Why you? Duke Ludwig's eyes widened. As one of the 4 close aides of the Demon King, he was well aware of the abilities of Arisha's sword. Why was Arisha's sword known as the best? Simply because of its ability to absorb the enemy's abilities without a cost. My strength? My. Thank you. I almost missed the chance to take it, but this was only possible because you endured for so long. You bastard. Duke Ludwig was furious at Chen Yuan, but his anger didn't last for much longer. Ack. His body scattered like ashes in the wind as he could not help but feel hopeless about his impending doom. Shoo. Then, Chen Yuan's eyes trembled from the process of transforming information from the demon's core into his mind. Each time he did this, he always faced a familiar dizziness. What impossible strength! Shakina couldn't take her eyes off Chen Yuan. She knew that he was strong, but this was beyond her imagination. She never thought that one of the Demon King's 4 close aides would lose their life from a single slash. Gulp. She gulped in fear. Once again, she realized that she had made the right choice. At that moment, Hu Ban yelled at the demons. Hey, what are you going to do? All your leaders are done for, are you going to sit there looking dazed? Surrender now. The energy forcing them to kneel dissipated, but the demons were too stunned by what they had just witnessed to move. Whisper. They all looked at each other when a demon suddenly shouted. According to the laws of my clan, Count Norin will admit defeat now. Everything will be for the winner. Either take my life or turn me into a slave, anything as you will. It was the first declaration of defeat. Norin, a count class who had lost his will to fight, surrendered. He confirmed Chen Yuan's overwhelming power right in front of his eyes. As Hu Bang said, if their leaders couldn't do anything, what could they do? Shirkaran, another count class demon, was dumbfounded by Count Norin's surrender. What are you spewing? According to the laws of my clan, Count Olga will admit defeat now. Everything will be for the winner. Either take my life or turn me into a slave, anything as you will. Even before Count Shirkaran could finish his rebuke, another count-level demon surrendered. Why you guys? When 2 of his fellow demons surrendered, he was perplexed. They had gotten up and formally declared their surrender without any care. What are you all doing? How can he Then do you plan to just die here? How do you plan on taking down a monster that defeated our Duke-level leaders? That. He couldn't think of anything to refute the statement. Duke Bevman had lost his fighting spirit and had no chance of winning. All the demons had already bowed their heads and declared surrender, except for 3. Shoo. Marquis Irene's I was slowly recovering while Duke Bevman was looking at Chen Yuan with a puzzled face. Lastly, Marquis Call, Duke Ludwig's faithful servant, was still in shock. Unlike the other demons, these 3 were bound by blood or had been loyal for a long time and thus weren't in a situation to surrender just because the opponent was strong. Crack. This human. Marquis Call, who had lost his master, grunted in anger. His master, his lord, had died right before his eyes, and he couldn't even do anything. He glared at Chen Yuan as if he wanted him dead. Chen Yuan shook his head. Now is my chance. He thought that this would be the only chance he would get to kill the man, and he considered the opportunity even more. He is absorbing the power from the core. Even Marquis Irene saw this as her last chance. The gap between them and Chen Yuan would send them straight to hell. Other than now, they would never even get close to Chen Yuan. Fat. It was a very clever thought. The 2 Marquis with the same intention moved simultaneously. Fat. Crack. Both of them awakened at the same time as they leapt towards Chen Yuan. I need to kill him. I need you dead. But. Weak. Yuk. Ack. Their bodies were stopped in midair by a golden tail that curled around their bodies. This is? The golden gumiho had stopped them. The 2 Marquis who didn't think about the other monster were too hasty and ended up getting caught. What are you doing? You guys must really have a death wish. A weird killing intent emanated from the golden gumiho. Damn it! Papa. The two demons seemed desperate to avoid such futile deaths, as they would die without having accomplished much. Then, Chun Yo-won spoke. Interesting. Chun Ma? The golden gumiho, who was about to crush them with her tail, turned to Chun Yo-won. He smiled with a strange expression, which the gumiho didn't understand. As she wondered what he was up to, Chun Yo-won opened his mouth. So, you received this from the Demon King? Chun Yo-won raised his hand towards his face, and as he covered his face with his palm, something amazing happened. Guguguo. The room began to shudder. The same phenomenon that happened when Duke Ludwig was transforming occurred. However, it seemed like with each second, the force shaking the room became stronger. Crack! To the extent where their surrounding space was distorted. Kwang! The building couldn't withstand the shaking and seemed as if it would collapse at any moment. Swoosh! The tails of the golden gumiho expanded in an instant to support the building, which was on the verge of collapsing. If she had been a second later, the floors would have collapsed. Chun Ma! She shouted at Chun Yo-won, who was unable to control his new power. However, the distorted space soon turned normal and the tremendous energy that had threatened everyone moments earlier began to subside. To be precise, it was coalescing at one point. What is that? Chun Ma? Lord! The golden gumiho and the other subordinates under Chun Yo-won couldn't hide their shock. Chun Yo-won's entire body seemed to be enveloped in raging flame. Those flames around his body were flames of pitch-black darkness. Seeing this dark form of fire felt strange to everyone. Shoo! Chun Yo-won lowered his hand, revealing his face, but Chun Yo-won's face was also black. The energy around him didn't feel like his usual energy, it felt much darker. If they hadn't known that it was Chun Yo-won, they would have thought that they were face to face with the demon god, a divine being spoken in myths and legends. True awakening? Marquis Irene, who was caught by Golden Gumiho's tail, was sure that Chun Yo-won was going through a true awakening. How is this? Even Marquis Call couldn't help but be shocked. He always accompanied Dula Ludwig and was able to closely observe the transformation progress. There was no doubt that this was a true awakening. At that moment, Chun Yo-won's face of darkness, which shone like a flame, shook. I've learned something great. Crackle. Yook. The wind? The moment the sound came, a huge gust of wind seemed to enter the room. Thanks to that, the demons who were bowing and even subordinates of Chun Yo-won were puzzled back. This? Even Chun Yo-won was shocked. Just talking seemed to cause his power to explode, so he hurriedly raised his hand up to cover his face. Reducing the effects of the awakening, Chun Yo-won was able to return everything back to normal. PSSSS. The darkness that wrapped around his entire body disappeared as it dispersed into the air. And the energy disappeared. Chun Yo-won's hand trembled and he looked at it. The moment I used True Awakening, the Sky Demon energy exploded. It wasn't that the other energies increased, but rather that the Sky Demon energy was pushed down and had exploded. As a result, Chun Yo-won turned into an entity of darkness and chaos, creating a strange form. I can't seem to use it for very long. He only used it for a while, but an unknown fatigue rushed over his body. It was like he had exhausted his entire body. Chun Ma, it seemed like you were completely gone. The Golden Gumiho said in shock. He realized that it was just as she said. When he was awakened, he wasn't there mentally. For Muram warriors, that meant that they had reached new heights. In an instant, Chun Yo-won no longer seemed human. Well, that could be it. Chun Yo-won didn't deny it. He, too, thought that the weird senses he felt before returning to his human form were odd. At that moment, someone walked in front of Chun Yo-won. In shock, Marquis Irene yelled at the person. Papa! Walking in front of Chen Yuan was Duke Bevman, and as he looked at Chen Yuan with trembling eyes, he asked. You, who are you? Are you Arisha's reincarnation?